Hey team, hope everyone's having a fabulous day. Can I just start off actually by saying the likes on my page are going up and up and up, and I just want to say thanks to everyone that follows me and that asks me for advice. I really appreciate and I'm honoured that you choose to follow me and listen to my advice. What I'm going to talk about today is excuses, and for some people this might hit a raw nerve, but sometimes you need to hear it because day in day out I get women contacting me and not necessarily to work with me, just for advice. And the excuses that people come up with are very common. And there's always something attached to that excuse. And it's always a case of self-sabotaging and not putting yourself forward. So one of the big excuses is time. Oh, I just don't have time. There are 24 hours in the day. You don't do something for 24 hours, you can make time. Whether it means getting up earlier or going to bed later, you might not necessarily be able to go to a gym, but you can certainly do stuff outside or in the house if you've got kids that that's going to help you track get in shape and get to where you want to get to. Some people don't go to a gym and are in good shape from training at home. So time is not one of those excuses I take too lightly. I myself have got a majorly busy life. I got a very active 4-year-old. Anyone who knows him knows how active he is. I've got a house to keep with my husband. We've got a very busy business. We run a gym. In the last 6 months of studying, as I've shared before, I'm studying psychotherapy. Life like now is really, really busy because, I've got clients online, I've got clients live who I work with, we have the gym to look after, I have clients for my placement to look after for the other side of things that I'm learning how to do, and life is majorly busy. And I'm looking to train to go on stage. Now, I have had to make some changes and some sacrifices so that I can do that, but I've did it because I want it. And I know that I deserve to be there. So you can always make time. And I am literally knackered by the time I get home at night, but it's for a purpose, it's for a goal, and I will get there. And I'm not going to use time as an excuse. So if you're using time as an excuse, maybe think to yourself, actually, where actually could I do this? Could I go to bed a bit later? Because for 24 hours in the day, I'm not doing something. If I've got time to sit on Facebook, which everyone does, before I go to bed, could have I actually maybe did a bit of a workout instead? Is there something more effective I could be doing with my day so I can fit something in, whether it be at home or a gym? I've got kids. And that one alone always kind of shocks me. Yeah, you've got kids, so why does that mean you can't train and you can't get in shape? Because here's the big thing you need to remember when you've got kids. Those little people are watching your every move. If you're miserable and you have got a bad relationship with food, they are learning that, they are taking that on, and it's highly likely that you're going to pass that on to them. Whereas if you're confident and you look after yourself and you've got a good relationship with food, they're going to learn that too, and they're going to be more positive and have a more positive relationship with food. Something I always say to clients when they're struggling, if they're a mum, I'll say, well, would you want your kid to feel like this? What would you be telling them? Would you give your kid loads of rubbish to eat? Because it's true, we binge on food. A lot of people use, oh, I just can't give up this, can't give up that. Would you want your kid to be addicted to food like that? And that's a good way of looking at it. And sometimes you have to think, I need to do this for them. And you can include the kids. I get that a lot of mums can't get to a gym. I do online programs because of this, and that's not me trying to sell it to you, because there's plenty you can do at home. You can take the kids out to the park and do stuff with them. My little guy loves training with me, especially if I'm doing it at home, and that's very much what I did in the beginning. So you can't use that as an excuse either, guys, because there's always a way around it. Involve the kids, teach them about a healthy relationship with food, teach them about how exercise is important to keep your body fit and healthy. The answer's kind of there in itself, isn't it? But just remember that you are wiring into them how they're going to be when they're older. So maybe you want to show them in a more positive way if at the moment you feel miserable and you don't have a good relationship with food. Now, one of the other things is finances. I can't afford to go to a gym, which I fully appreciate. But I've seen people do this in the past, and then I see on Facebook, because people forget that you can see things on Facebook, or their friends will say, they can afford to go to the beauty salon and pay for superficial things that give you happiness for a little while. Their hair, their makeup, their nails, I say with lovely painted nails. They can afford fancy holidays or a fancy car. Stuff that gives you enjoyment for a little while, but only fills that void for that period of time. But they don't want to prioritise themselves. Again, it's a form of self-sabotage. When it comes to food, you can't afford to eat clean food. that one amazes me every time because it's cheaper to eat clean than it is to eat unhealthy. What you mean is, sometimes what happens is when you first start trying to eat healthy, you buy so much in that it feels like it's more expensive, but when you've prepped it and you know what you're doing, it will cost you less. You know, if you're not buying all the rubbishy foods into the house, you know, and you're not buying all these processed foods anymore, because what essentially that always kind of feels to me is, I'm going to buy processed food for it's cheaper, but I'm not going to look after my health and I'm not going to look after myself while I'm at it. There's always an option. Some of these stores that are opening nowadays are so much cheaper than the big stores, and you most definitely can, because I eat clean and I know what the difference in my prices of my shopping is to friends who maybe don't eat clean. I've got a few of them like that. But yeah, so, you know, putting price in front of yourself, you know, isn't the best excuse, because again, you can do it at home. And they're just some of the top 10 excuses that people come up with. And one of my favourites is, oh, I just like my food too much. And what we need to remember is we were put on this earth to use food for fuel. Yeah? And I'll answer your question in a second. We use food for fuel to survive. But what's happened as we've evolved through time is we start using food for comfort, we started using food for taste, we started using food, you know, just for socialising, and we've kind of forgotten that actually food is there to keep the body moving, to keep us fueled, and that we don't need a lot of the food that we think we need and all these processed foods that we think we need. That, you know, when it comes down to it, it's a personal responsibility and it's about personal choice. If you think, oh no, I just love my food too much, you don't really want to get in shape. If you want to get in shape and you want to change the shape of your body, you will move heaven and earth to get there, and you will put yourself first if you truly believe that you can do it. And sometimes that's what goes wrong as well, is people just don't believe they can do it. Anyone can change the shape of their body, they just have to follow some simple basic rules to do so. It really is easy. So if I've done this video and it's maybe hit some nerves and you're thinking, oh gosh, actually this is me, I'm making these excuses, start putting yourself first and start doing something about it, because I can promise you, from someone who's been on both sides of the scale, that life will be a lot better and a lot happier when you're where you want to be with your body and you feel confident about yourself. So sometimes it's just about making a bit of a sacrifice. And I know about these excuses because I did it myself when I wasn't myself. And, you know, oh, I have to be lost all the time and I need to have the house tidy, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I was completely putting myself last. And you know what? My little guy noticed that. And that, I remember, that I've shared many times, was a major turning point for me when I was like, I need to get back to the way that I used to live, because my little guy is noticing this. And he notices it now. He sometimes says that to me. He sometimes actually says to me, Mummy, I love that you're happy now. And you know, he enjoys coming to the gym. He even asks, when are we going? So, you know, make that sacrifice for them if you've got kids as well. But I can promise you, if you change your relationship with food and you actually start doing something about it and mean it and stop making excuses, even the smallest ones, you will feel so much better about yourself. And it's lovely to see so many online with me. Lisa's asking, how do I get a skinny waist? Lisa, it's all in your food. It's all in clean eating. And that, along with training, you'll be well on your way. That's probably a video for another day though, but if you go through some of my videos, there's quite a lot of content, there's quite a lot there about food, but clean eating is definitely the way forward. Get rid of your processed foods and start getting clean foods into your diet. Anyway, this was just a quick video because the little guy is home from nursery. I'm going to spend some time from him. I've got a busy evening coaching, and I've been coaching this afternoon as well, so I'm going to spend half an hour to myself. But if you're making excuses, stop doing it. Start looking after yourself and get a smile on your face. Catch you soon, guys. Coach Lee.